listening to Big Men Radio with Nancy and Lisa, and you just heard Can This Be Real, this 1973 hit by the soul group The Natural Four, and co-founder of the group, Ollan Christopher Bell, a lot of you know him as Christopher James or Chris James, has released his memoir, Music Saved My Life, From Darkness into the Light, My Life as a 70s R&B Soul Singer. It's available out right now on Amazon, and of course you can go to his website. But the book really takes you behind the scenes in his music career. Goes through his life. Really, it's quite personal, going through his family life and that's a really wild story. And I know, Nancy, you're going to identify with this completely. But he's also the husband of jazz and blues singer Zakiya Hooker. We love her. Got to keep up with her music. And he's produced a lot of her albums, all 5 of them, and also produced the final John Lee Hooker album, Face to Face.
Wow.
Chris is also the president and co-owner of the John Lee Hooker Boom Boom Recording Studio in Douglasville, Georgia. I want to go to the Boom Boom Room, man. But also, I know, I got the giggles now. Apparently, hey, Chris, Ollan, your last project is Tenderly Unplugged. Everyone, ChrisJames-natural4.com is the website to go to. And again, the book is right on Amazon right now. Go to Music Saved My Life, From Darkness into the Light, My Life as a 70s R&B Soul Singer. Welcome, Ollan. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
So now, do you have like a sign in your studio wall saying is that the Boom Boom Room?
No. I did one time in Oakland. I did, but not here.
Yeah, in Oakland, reading about because I really geek out on music memoirs because it just really ties musicians together. Everyone can read Wikipedia all they want. As soon as we knew you were coming on the show, we were looking up and watching you on YouTube and watching the Natural Four perform. Like you guys are just like, oh man, this is the stuff I loved. Like the Temptations and the Coasters, and I just wish I knew about you. Years and years ago. The music to me at that point had this style and a class and a sensitivity, and just the movements. It was slick, man. It was good stuff.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it very much.
Now, Oakland, that's where you really started out, and part of your majority of your youth was spent, and then you ended up in Fort Polk and Leesville, Louisiana, which we'll get to. And Nancy and I have been through there, so I was really excited to talk with you about that area because that was kind of a difference. But I wonder, does the majority of the country understand what the music scene was like in Oakland when you think about what was going on with blues and everything at different parts of life now and soul and R&B? Was Oakland something on the map for this country in music?
Well, in a lot of ways it was. Sly Stone was there. He was on the radio there. Everybody that was anybody came through Oakland and performed at like the Continental Club, which was in West End, the Showcase, which was in North Oakland, Showcase and the Sportsman, which both of them were in North Oakland. So yeah, Oakland was pretty. You had the ballads there. You had the Old Town Passions. You had quite a number of artists. Lenny Williams comes from there. Tower Power comes from there. So there were a lot of artists in the Bay Area.
Okay, so this was a hub because you kept going back and forth there throughout your life, going to L.A. as well. And now I know that you and Zakiya go to. I know she's talked about this on our shows previously about doing a lot of music in Argentina. So I just want to fast forward. What's going on with Argentina? How did that happen?
Well, actually, we were in Paris. I think it was in '89 or. It was 89 or 90, something like that. We were in Paris and we were performing there. And there was a gentleman in Paris who I saw him in the audience, and he was watching us play. As a matter of fact, I was there with our whole group, which at the time was called, I think we were named Blues for You. But anyway, we were in Paris, and I met his name was Adrian Lucio. And actually it was in '98, and so he came. We invited him on the stage to play, and he played guitar, and he invited us to come to Argentina. And so the very next year, I went over, met with him, actually stayed at his home, and from that point on, that was like '99. From then on, I would go, I stayed there for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, go back to the Bay Area, and then there were other things going on. And it just started becoming a place that I spent a lot of time doing music and working with artists that over there, which turned out to be, for me, a really wonderful place to be. Not only was the music scene there a good music scene because they like old school R&B, so it was perfect for me. Plus, I like candombe, tango. Their music was, for me, really, really wonderful. The first time I ever heard some Argentine music, I think I was about 10 or 11 years old, and there was an Argentine family that lived down the street from us. And I heard the bandoneon, which is different than the accordion, even though they're played similarly. It was a big difference between the sound of the bandoneon, and it stuck in my head. So when I got over there, I actually got to see what the bandoneon was used for, which is a lot of tango music. Again, it was one of those things where once I started going to Argentina, if you haven't been there, you should go. It's a really, really, really wonderful place for music as well as for great food.
And good wine. Good wine. We've had some winemakers from Argentina call into our shows and send us wine, and we're like, okay, maybe we should move there. I know. Good food, good wine, good music,
Great wine.
And I love it to hear that they're into the R&B side, but isn't that because there's a sexiness to R&B music and soul music? There is, and I think they've got a little bit of that with what they're doing too, and so it's exciting. But because I know now that you're doing a lot of producing and working with different artists, obviously with Zakiya and John Lee Hooker producing his last album. But I know at the end of your book you were talking about working with your two sons, and that's something you really started getting into after the Natural Four, where you started working with different people, but it was not just on music. You were also working on the acting side and helping coach your sons on the acting side.
Yes, I did. That was actually, excuse me, kind of going. It started a little after, near the end of the Natural Force tenure. Actually, before that, I started working my second oldest son, Mark, and he was on programs like 80's Enough, Love Boat, White Shadow. Those are programs from back in the day. He did commercials for M&M's and Taco Bell commercials. He started, and I found that was another area that I was good at, because in school, not only was music my major, my minor was theatrics, and so for me to go through scripts with Mark it was a natural thing. And I worked with both Christopher and Mark. Back then, they did quite a bit of work. As a matter of fact, it was a major thing because that's how we survived financially. Yeah. Because back then, they were getting paid good money for especially for commercials that were aired throughout the United States. Really, really good money for those. And so it was a means to an end, because I was strictly a musician. And about musicians, we don't make a lot of money. So it was really, they subsidized our family in terms of living and eating and just living in general.
And the money thing, you went through some craziness with that. I mean, we've got to talk about your mother, maybe I should say. That we've got to talk about her. But that kind of started, and music started with her too, right? Because she was a singer too and a musician, and got you in your family involved in music in the mornings, and so there was a lot of that. I don't want to give your book away, so I don't want to tell every story here, but I mean, it's a wild ride. Your book is wild, right? So basically, you've lived a wild ride. But the money thing, just to touch on that before we get into the beginnings of the music, the money thing, all the way from your mom when you were in ROTC, and all of a sudden you're finding your paycheck doesn't all get to you, and then that kind of sets you up.
That was Mother's main thing. It was her main thing. She was truly into making the money, and we, as far as she was concerned, it was our obligation to give her over 50% of whatever we made. It was just mother's take on things. And for most of my life as a young adult, that's what she did.
Wow.
As you said, if you read the book, they'll find out how she did it most of my life until she was gone.
And then you get into the music scene, and then that kind of did the same thing, and then you're like, wait, this looks familiar, right? What happens when you start recording and getting contracts and signing things? That's something
we signed a lot of bogus contracts that didn't, starting with people like Mr. Willie Hoskins. We signed a lot of bogus contracts. In my whole career, I've never really made any money from record sales, and we had records that did quite well, but we never saw any of the money. I never really made any substantial amounts of money. All the records I recorded, I have to say I didn't make any. We didn't write a lot, and so that in itself put us in a different place. So you have to blame yourself for that. But we were told that was not important, that you would get to your writing, and we got these writers for you all the way through my career. That was the whole thing. And I wanted to sing, and I was looking at the long term. Had I looked at the long term, I would have realized that things would be different had I taken the time to find out about how things work. And I always tell the younger artists, and I admire some of these the younger artists, the major artists that are out now, because they win for the money. And back then, it wasn't about that. And I feel that if this is how you brought up, you're going to continue to do that. But nowadays, I tell people the first thing is make sure you have the right contracts, write your own songs, at least have something to do with it. And I stress that when I'm working with people.
What about when you were performing? Did you make money performing?
Oh yeah, but not a lot of money. But back, we're talking about in the 70s. It wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
We might make, $3,000, $4,000, but you got a place to stay. You got to split between yourself and the band. The band gets so much, you get so much. So it wasn't a lot of money. It was enough to get us from point A to point B, but it wasn't any money that you could sit there. I could sit back for a month or two. It was never like that. It was always just enough to get you from one gig to the next gig to the next gig, because we were not taught how to manage things. And there were times when we got out on the road and we got stiffed and didn't make any money at all. So I'm glad that music was, for me, that was still my lifesaver, money or not. I survived. I'm still here, still doing it. If I had to do it over again, I would definitely do it a lot differently.
Yeah, because reading your book, I mean, your story is like you are resourceful. You don't you went working. You worked with GM. You did newspaper routes. You did whatever you needed to do, and while you're doing that, part of your dreams are going, whether it's a romantic dream, your love back in Germany, and your child there. You miss a lot of things because you were like, I have to do this. I have to put food on the table for family, and you really were, I think, very throughout your book, just reading that you're very dedicated to making things work, and that's a lot to say because a lot of times if you're in music and the arts, sometimes you'll just go, well, how do I diversify that? How do I make that balance? And still be able to do music, where sometimes all of a sudden music could walk right out of your life, because of, putting food on the table.
Yeah, well, you have to think about survival, and I've been a survivor most of my life, and that's what it amounts to. Music was just my passion. If someone asked me today if I had to do over again, of course I would do it totally different, because I'm an older person, and I see the mistakes that I made. But still, at the end of the day, it's the thing that kept me focused, and music is the thing that kept me going. Because when things were bad, I could deal with a song and get through the day. And things like in everybody else's life, things go crazy, but you have to be strong. And music was the thing that kept me strong.
It's really true when you come from a background that's chaotic, and that's the word I'm just going to use there.
Good one.
It's chaotic. You hit the ground running because that is the only way to survive. You really don't have the luxury of deep thought reflection on how to manage your life. You hit the ground running just to make sure you can be there the next day. And it does take a toll. You can't do your best job that way. You really can't. So, and it is true. You glom onto one thing that you spiritually need, that you need to make it worth even waking up the next day. And I know that feeling, and I know how that is. And so, and it comes out, it just seems to me, in the really ultra creative people, the music, the art, the writers, you know, I don't know if coming from a chaotic background is what brings creativity to the forefront, or if we're just lucky that we have that to get through it, you know. But yeah, I think back on my childhood, and that's the word I'm going to use. I got others, but
I bet think I do too.
Yeah. So I mean, you hit the ground running because that's the way you know you're going to get through to the next day, and there is that one special thing. Yeah, and so that's what you do, and you know, when other people have the luxury of forethought, hindsight, and all that, it's like whatever, because it doesn't relate that well.
Yeah.
You know, it's a luxury to be able to, let's just think through what you're going to do tomorrow. Really? That wasn't how that
didn't happen.
No, and for
so
many people,
it really wasn't.
No, it doesn't happen.
No, well, but you can do that when it's way past all of the madness you've gone through. Then you can do that. Like my life now is calm. It's not chaotic. I can go and come as I please. But to get here, it took a lot. You know, the thing that I learned was it's like you gotta survive. I survived in the military. You know,
in the South.
Survived in the military. In the South, and but see, for me, the South was because I was so naive. It was just another place that was interesting to me. I went through a lot of changes, and weird changes, but still, it was someplace that I had not been around. I'm down here now, but I can separate myself from even some of the stuff that's happening down here in general that you don't see. That's under the surface. I can see that, but at my age, I would hope to think that I could see things like that. But back then, it was a matter of survival and getting out of my house as a young adult, trying to be on my own, which in fact I wasn't, and I didn't know that. My life was just, it was chaotic, but I learned how to survive. All 7 of us children, specifically the oldest 4, we learned to survive. In the environment that we were in, under the circumstances, we learned how to survive. You've read the book, so the things that we went through just as kids was crazy.
It was pretty shocking, but I kept running out to Nancy. We take our morning walks, and I'm like, dude, you have to read this. This is so much like your family. And then when, I was pretty blessed living outside of this country, and from that, away from it. And she kept telling me, like, this family's, it's whacked. And then we came back, and I tried, and she tried. We thought maybe everybody's grown up. Oh, hell no.
No way.
Hell no. I learned the art of manipulation that old grandmas can do to everybody.
Yeah.
I had never seen an experience, and we lived through all kinds of stuff in Africa. I mean, we really did. And I know about survival, and I've been through some really crazy stuff. I'm trying to watch my language now.
Yeah.
But it is.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and then when I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, my God. I swear if my grandmother and your mother knew each other, this manipulation thing, and it is insane, except for your mother is smarter. She had some smarts, and she could run an operation. And the spirituality thing, giving people readings and being able to do
That's
like
funny.
all kinds of things. I mean, okay, I have to bring this up. So, just describe your mother. I don't want to say anything because it's your mother.
Describe my mother?
Yeah.
Oh, she was a very controlling, manipulating person. I don't even know if I put this in the book. We would know when we were going to get in a lot of trouble because we would hear Mother and whistling as she was coming from work. We could hear her whistling down the street, and we knew, determining what whistle it was, that we were going to get, the switches were going to be pulled and we were going to get a behind beat because she had a certain whistle. That's how manipulative Mother was. And my whole life was spent. My grandfather was not in the house. So was my mother, my aunt, granddaughter baby, my grandmother, a couple of my. So most of my life was spent with women, no men, to speak of, except my stepfather was in the book about him, and forget that being somebody to give me some type of a major masculine image to tell me, look, here's what you need to do in terms of life and blah. I didn't have that, and those are the things that I think that most men, young men, that don't have fathers, they're missing a really major part of their life because you've got to have a balance. If it's just all women, there's a whole bunch of male things that should be happening that you miss out on, and I missed out on all those. I was more, and I don't mean that in physically, but more, my attitudes were more female than they were male when I did things, how I did things. I learned from my mother, and she was a very manipulative person.
Yeah, manipulation is key. That is I think it's, she had it to the art, my grandmother too, and it's pretty shocking because it's like, wow, this conspiracy thing of how it works. It's mind blowing, but I think that one of the things I think is important that people do read your book for, definitely it's a fascinating read, and by the way, I really think it should be on TV or on Netflix or in the movie.
Thank you.
It needs to move forward from this because I think so many people are still going through this kind of thing.
For sure.
I think our country is really kind of messed up with how we all communicate and understand that we haven't moved too much. In some ways, we really are making some shifts, but I think that sometimes you don't realize where you're at in a household or in a family, and you are being manipulated all the time, and then you question the manipulation. It's a form of abuse.
But there's a if you question your parents, usually you were really sorry you did because it wasn't a good law.
Absolutely. It was not about questioning whatever Mother said, whatever it was. This was the law. Period.
Yeah. That was it.
That was my problem because I would always question. Then why?
Yeah.
And of course, punishment came. It was just her practice, and it was like I couldn't keep my mouth closed because I would always ask the question, but why?
See, you're just like Nancy. I can't wait for Nancy started reading your book, and she goes, "This is like the TV show's Shameless." In a way, with the manipulation.
And my dad had 3 wives at the same time, and and each of them had 6 kids, and they named them all the same as much as they could if they were all like. In my family, there were 3 boys and 3 girls. In the other family, it didn't work out quite like that, so they had to think of a new name.
There's a lot of Nancys.
So there's a lot of me running around. But in our household, my dad was the king, and my mom would serve you up to be smacked around by him in order. I don't know. You talk about the whistling. I got the hum.
Yeah, he had the paddle.
Right.
And we had this paddle. A ping pong paddle that they named Chester. They drew this big face on it with great big teeth, and my dad drilled holes in it so there would be no air resistance when he hit you. So
Oh, wow.
I know, like, and even knowing that, I could not shut up. Like, something would happen, and I would say something. The rest of my brothers and sisters knew to shut up, but Dumbo here just kept on objecting and saying, this is wrong, this is not right.
The word why. Yeah.
And
yep, that was me. That was me all the time.
See? And there's just something about it. I mean, I guess it just, what is inside you, and then the result was, as soon as I could, I went halfway around the world just to not be anywhere by anybody I ever knew while I was growing up, even the rest of my family, all that. As soon as I felt Lisa was old enough, she was a year and a half old, I left. And I went halfway around the world to live in Africa.
In the bush.
Just in the bush. Just to, like, I got to wipe this out. And it's still with me.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
Is that why you went to ROTC with that?
Well, actually, as an adult, that's one of the things that's one of the reasons that I was glad that I've been able to travel as much as I've traveled and spend time in Argentina. Because when I'm in Argentina, I don't have to back it up. The reason the book was written was not because I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write a book. The reason that the book was written is because I was going to a psychiatrist at the time. And he said, look, you need to put this stuff down. He gave me meditation tapes. You need to put this stuff down. And I put it down. And the Kia was really encouraging. And a couple more of friends of mine said, hey, man, you need to make this into a book, because that was not my intention. That was not something that I started out to do. I just was doing this for my own personal helping me to get past certain things. And, through, as I said, through Zakia, Tony Cook, a guitar player, good friend of mine for over the 25 years, they said, man, you should put this into a book. And that's how come last year I finished it, and it took me over 20 years to write this, because it was more therapy than it was me sitting down and putting pen to paper and writing. That was not my objective. I was just trying to get past, trying to figure out. And my psychiatrist, Dr. Smith, and this was years ago, said you need to write this down so that you can at least see what you're saying, and deal with these things that you have. I was always angry. When I met the kid, I was always angry. I had nightmares up the yin-yang all the time. And writing it down really helped me get past these things. And so, so people who are listening understand I didn't sit down to try to do a book like everybody's doing. That was not my idea. It was other people. Because it took a lot for me to really, because my book is personal.
It's
I'm telling you a lot about everything.
It's hurtful.
Yeah, you're incredibly real. I mean, that's why I said about can this be real? Like when I'm reading, listen to that song, and then I read this, I'm like, reading your book. To me, you're very, very straight up honest. There's no BS around it. It's like, this is what happened, but also your personal thoughts of understanding. And I think that's what's so important for people that are going through these things. Like, I think it's an important read for people. All people need to do it. And the one thing too, you went through a lot of crap, and I think a lot of people go through a lot of crap, but you have skills from it too. You were able to identify bad people. I'm having a real hard time today with my language. But I was like, sorry, quality of life show. But you were able to peg people like immediately, understand their aura, their air of like, Nancy has it too. If someone she gets the hair up the back of her neck, I have it too. And it's like, and people, you as a survivalist have this instinct that is something that people need to learn, because people were tuned off. And I wonder how that feeling merges with music, because music is all feeling the senses. Isn't that kind of doesn't that float the same boat?
Yes, in a lot of ways it does. It's just like the original Natural Four, which was Punk and Johnny Allen and myself. The original, we were totally different than Steve, Daryl, and Delmas. um, that was a real bad mix from the time. And I'll say this anyway: from the time the Delmas came into the group.
Wow.
That was a big. It was like I knew there was going to be problems. I mean, this guy came straight out of jail, straight into the group by Mr. Willie Hoskins, into the group, and from the point when he stepped in, it was. This is going to sound strange, but it was almost like I don't want to use weird terms, but it was almost like the devil stepping into the group. I knew that we would get over. You know, he was a good singer and so forth, but the things that he did, I don't know if I put all those in the book, but the things that he did and how he was as an individual was, for a better word, scandalous. But we were getting ready to do a tour. I know I didn't put this in there. And that's how he ended up being in the group, because he was not somebody that I really would want to deal with ever, but he was there. And this is where, and this is not in the book, where Leroy Hudson and myself came into conflict, because Leroy wanted, because Delmas had the same style of voice that he had. And, but I'll say this to Delmas' face: he was a criminal when he came in the group. He's still in prison today. You know, it was like a big neon. This guy's going to cause you problems, and he did. He made us look crazy. A lot of things that he did. You know, he really was the reason that the group broke up, because I couldn't take it anymore. I was saying, this, you know, because we all could have ended up in prison messing with this dude, and that's, you know, so.
Yeah. This is
you came close to a lot of stuff. I mean, okay, what's up in Elko, Nevada? Oh my God, I'm cracking up reading this part of the book, because I'm like, Elko, Nevada, man. That you're in like the little, like, wow. You're off the loneliest highway, man. What were you doing in Elko, Nevada?
we were passing through, and that was the first time in my life I personally ever did anything that was really, really minor, you know, but it was not mine. Me and the two weakest people in the group at the time, because there were actually 3 extensions of Natural 4. There was the original, which was Johnny, Allen, Punkin, and myself, and then there was myself and Punkin and Delmas and Steve before Daryl Kennedy got in. And so this was the second extension of Natural 4, and I picked up a $1 silver dollar keychain, and that to this day I had never done that before. Just took it, and I said, the guy left the store. Said, oh man, they ain't gonna miss this dollar keychain, and of course they did. They followed us for 200 miles, and thought that we were. And some group of musicians have robbed some casino someplace else, and they put it on us. They thought it was us, which it wasn't.
Whoa!
And we ended up in jail behind something somebody else did. Flown 200 miles back to Elko, right at the border of California and Nevada. It was back to Elko, Nevada, and put our behinds in jail for about 3-4 days. And that was the craziest time of my life.
There's a lot of push-ups.
I'm sorry?
I mean, that was like a lot of push-ups you were doing in your cell, you said. I mean, and that was crazy
because...
Oh,
my God.
Haven't we... But that's it, again, going to your instinct, knowing about your cellmate, like how to handle it, and it's like that is where... I think that if you were some, cleany-weeny kid off the block who's never had any problems in their life, and then you were in the band and you went off and did all this stuff, that they wouldn't handle it as better. You know what I mean? It's like, call Dad to come fix this. It doesn't happen, So I think in some ways, the survival skills are key in life, man.
You learn the survival skills because you have to use them because of the way you were brought up. I feel like
you have to balance it out at times. At one point, yeah.
But I know, and that's why you do drastic things. But I think people who have a chaotic background are so used to taking a risk that it's hard to say this is a big risk or a little risk. It's like, oh, whatever, just see what happens, And that's how you get into big trouble. You just take that risk because a risk to a person with a chaotic background is not the same as a risk to someone who doesn't have that. The person who comes from the stable background will look at the risk and go, I'm not doing that. Are you kidding? And the other side will go, yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because, it's
reality. It's reality.
Yeah.
Good
you
point.
have to deal with the situation at that time.
Yeah.
Some people do well, some people don't do well. I've learned to be very methodical about certain things now. And as you get older, obviously things change. As I said, I'm glad that I wrote this stuff down, and that it definitely has helped to purge me as a person. As I said, I used to have nightmares all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, really terrible nightmares. I would scream, I'd jump up, I'd go flailing, and it's been a long time. Every once in a while, every blue moon, I might have a nightmare. But I guess it'll basically depend on maybe if I watch some stupid movie. But I don't have them like I used to. I used to have them almost 2 or 3 times a night. I mean, a week. And that's it's not happening. That's not happening anymore. So I feel good.
I think we should get together and make a sitcom with your mom and my mom. It'd be really funny.
Yeah.
Because
there
would be really funny because I could see them duking it out.
No, I know. I mean, I think we should do a whole show on this
and
because
I could see them. No, but I could see them like living like in the same apartment building and manipulating against each other. Who's going to be the power queen of the apartment building?
I don't know, but your mother wins because, I don't want to give the story away on your daughter or anything because
I think it would be funny.
Because people have to go read about that. All I can say is, are you glad DNA is around now? Like DNA tests, not DNA tests. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think that it's. I really think that was one of the best things that ever happened because something else I didn't put in here. When I was I won't tell what happened. When I was in Pasadena, we went to the doctor, and to show you how, even though I may be methodical in some things, I was naive in a lot of reality, and I know that I was, because I went to the doctor, and I was going through changes about my daughter, my niece. I was going through changes, so we went to the doctor and asked them, can you help? I asked him, can you help me get this squared away? And my daughter's mother got to the doctor, okay? And so I went back to get the information on it, and this doctor, he BS'd me the whole time because she got a chance to talk to him before I did, or after. She talked to him after I did, and he just kicked me to the curb. It's like, oh, no, man, don't worry about it. Everything is cool. Until I got back to the Bay Area and did the DNA. That was in '88 when it first came out. So, I'm glad DNA is around. It's really exonerating a lot of guys that have been...
and a lot of people in prison right now, too. That's a huge...
Hello?
Huge thing.
A huge thing.
Huge thing. And it's like, hello, all you people that put people in prisons because you make money off of it for somebody smoking a joint or cover up for somebody else who did the crime.
The private prison whole thing. I mean, what could be more wrong than that?
You see
really,
people still.
Really.
We're still fighting it. We're still fighting these
making incarceration of people into a business. Really?
But it's still happening today. As we're finding new cases come up. It's like a fight. The DNA is proving this. It's like we have to keep proving science is right, and I don't know what to do about that. But that's all.
I know. It's like we all go to school to learn certain things, and then our government does the opposite.
I know. It's like whatever, man.
What the heck?
But I do have to bring this. Go ahead.
No, I said I like to watch. There's this thing on television that comes up, Fraternity something or other, and I watch that diligently, and I sit there and sometimes I'm amazed, and I become so good just within myself and knowing what's happening. I can almost tell. I think maybe 1 out of 100, maybe one time in terms of telling if the child is the person's or the child is not. And when I look back on my life, and I look back on my daughter, my niece, when I look back at her and look at my brother and look at her, it was really obvious, but I was so brainwashed, for a better word, brainwashed and manipulated that, even I couldn't see it. I could see it as Monique became older. It was very obvious. But if I had somebody in my corner, me and you wouldn't probably be having this conversation because I would have probably never left Germany.
Yeah, right. I know, and everyone, that story is like that. Have you seen the movie Mudbound?
Somebody else told me about that movie.
Well, your story, your Germany beautiful. Story, is so connected to that, and it's like not funny, like, and yours turned out differently, but there's a very similar story, and it's just, and I think about what you did with going through ROTC, and then being part of what happened in this country, and it's just so. There's such a history, of African Americans going into our military. And they've done so much, and it's just not shown a lot. I mean, I look at in Tuskegee Airmen. It's such a huge story, and you just rarely see it. So, just go watch a Mudbound. You've got to watch it because it's got your.
I've been told. Can I get it?
Yeah.
Can I rent that?
Yeah, you could probably see. We saw it on Netflix. So, and that's where your story needs. Yeah. You can rent it. You can watch it on. You can probably you get it on Netflix or Amazon and watch it for a couple bucks because it's really cheap. I know on Amazon, but at the end of the day, like your story, I think that's the thing is, so many people are going to connect with your story through your book, and I know they already have. And that's the thing. People are like, have you seen this? Have you Nancy's connection, our connection with our my grandparents and how things happened. I mean, there's some things that are downright cruel that comes from this manipulation of people, and I think that it's going to strike home to everybody. But they also learn a resilience. And you talk about music saved your life, and Nancy and I are both musicians and had a blues band in San Diego, and the guitarist turned out to be a rapist, So there you go. We have a story on that stuff too. I know, right? And it's like you're in hotel rooms. No, it's not good. And the Delmas, your dude, very similar story, like right to the T of like, oh, I just thought he did this. Oh, no. But in regards to music, when you find your passion in life, that is your way, and I think that's what comes through in your book. But also, I wanted to ask about music. When you traveled all over, all these things are going on. When you play or produce, isn't it being in that zone when you're doing it that kind of gets you out of that chaos that Nancy was talking about? I love that word, Nancy. It's right.
Yes, it does. When I'm in the moment, especially when I'm performing. And you really get if you guys play, you understand, you get in a zone.
Yeah.
That is everything is inclusive. That's another reason I like so much performing in Argentina, because the people there are very passionate about the music. Like when we go to Argentina, or I go, when either Zakia or myself go, we don't have to stay in a hotel. We don't stay in Airbnb. We stay at people's houses that are like family. So, but it's the music that's made all this happen. Good music that has made all of this happen. So you get into a zone.
Yeah, because when you're singing, or when you're writing, and when you're producing, you're focused on one thing. Like I painted. I went to Africa to paint wildlife, and when I'm painting, my mind can't go anywhere else but that. And that's kind of like that's your savior until you finish the song or finish the painting. Then it kind of comes back.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it really is. You term that's your savior, and that's what music has done for me. When I even now I hum all day long here at the house because that's and not because I'm depressed or things like that. It's just part of my DNA now, and I enjoy singing, and I've watched how Zakiya has improved over the years because she wasn't doing music when I met her. Was not and she didn't start doing music until she was really an adult.
She's awesome.
And now she's playing guitar, which is really great.
Really?
But these are things that I encourage her. She's written like 8 or 9 songs already. But this was in her. And it's come out. And when I say she plays, we're not talking, she's not B.B. King or Buddy Guy. She plays songs similar to the way that her father plays because she learned how to play late in life. So she's not doing all the fancy licks. She plays the chords. She knows the chords. She sings along with herself, and she's gradually, because I would say that Zakiya plays now almost every day, just to try to get from point A to point B, and she's doing an exceptional job. But these are the things I'm talking about because I'll hum a song, something I hear, I hum, because that's just I've been doing this all my life, and she's finally gotten into that same mode for herself because we are truly two independent people when it comes to our lifestyle, how she grew up and how I grew up and things like that. But musically, there's always a cohesiveness. And this is the way I am with anybody that is near or around me when it comes to music. Music, again, is like a blanket of tranquility if people allow this to happen.
Absolutely.
It's so amazing, and I go back to I think it was the very first interview we had with Zakiya, and I said, well, being Johnny Hooker's daughter, did you sit and play with him as a kid, and did you like pick up the guitar? That was my first thing in my head, and she was all like,
of course.
And he was, I can't directly quote it because it was a long time ago when she was on the very first time on the show, but and it was when she had Keeping It Real, the 2009 album, and she's like, he basically was like, this is for men, like women don't do this kind of thing. It was kind of a male-female thing.
Exactly was because, women should be in the kitchen and washing the dishes and cooking food and stuff like that. Well, I didn't see this when I first met her. I said, Zakiya and I, our meeting in itself was unique, but the fact that I'm always listening, and I don't know if I put that in there when I first heard her sing, but the long and the short of it is, I knew that she could sing, and I knew,
she can.
When I heard her, and we're not talking about Aretha Franklin. I'm talking about her style, her. It's upsetting to me that as many projects that she's done, that she has not been recognized because she's solid. She's very solid.
She is.
She's
a very
Earth
good
Mama.
showman. Yeah, she's a very good showman. She does her job. I won't get off of that, but the bottom line is she should be getting more credit than what she's getting, not because her and I together, but because you guys keep bringing up Keeping It Real album. It was that whole album for the most part was done in Argentina.
Yeah.
With Argentine musicians, and just to be able to do that, that's me. I like a challenge. Okay, I'm have you guys play our kind of music, and it worked perfectly. I knew the pieces put in there to make it sound, and Keeping It Real to me so was Flavors a good album. So was Another Generation, and the last one. All of her projects. Yeah, in the mood. All of her projects were good projects. The bottom line is, people don't really want to give her credit because they think it's a male-dominated field, and she didn't start when she was 17 or 18 years old. He didn't start until she was like 47 as a professional, or 40-something as a professional vocalist. And because of her father being who he was, that was really a handicap for her, because people expected more from her.
And they want to hear him through her. You know what I mean? There's that weird thing, and she's different. I mean, she has got her own style. I love her because she is, like I say, Earth Mama, because it's when she sings to you, like, she is talking to your heart directly, in your soul, and you feel her, and it's like keeping it real. I always love the title of that, because I think that's exactly who Zakiya is. She keeps it real. She knows who she is. She's singing to you from a very confident place, and she's warm, yet she's badass at the same time. Damn, I love Zakiya.
She's a really good artist, and really upsets me that she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves. For whatever reason, they just refuse to give her her kudos. And like, we're working on this acoustic album that she's doing. I mean, when I say, because I don't think she was playing the last time you guys talked.
No, she wasn't playing guitar at that time. No, the last time we talked was in 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she wasn't playing. And when you hear some of this stuff, of course, because I'm a producer, I know what to put around her. But the bottom line is, the songs are hers, the melodies are hers. She's written them. How they're going to come across, you guys will, you'll see. But it's hers, and she's a lot, if anything, on the real side. I don't want to get into her side of thing. If anything, Zakiya is the closest to John, because she does her music her way, just like her father did. And if people realize that and look at her for real, they'll realize that she's just like her father. If anybody's like, because she doesn't play like Bonnie Raitt or any of these other female guitarists. She played, like, John didn't play like B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Phil Upchurch.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The way that John played was so grassroots.
And that
was not so much his playing, it was his voice. It was how he made people pay attention to him by his voice. The same is with Zakiya. She can get you in a heartbeat with her voice.
But she's straight up. That's the thing. And I think that's what you're right about her and John Lee Hooker just was straight up, let's get real. There's no frilly crap in between, and that's where some of the music now, I want to say, can we bring back the natural 4 too? Because, like, you guys, you're putting it, that's why I said when I listened to it, I was like, oh my God, we've got real music. Because I feel like everything's cluttered and compacted into this thing where you don't even know where the melody is anymore. Like, where's the melody gone?
I know sometimes
in music,
with certain singers, I'm like, could you get to the real
Get
note?
to it now, and we're talking a lot of the big famous people, and I don't care.
Yeah. No,
I hear you. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. Get to the note. I mean, because the melody is solid, and you don't need to do scale runs to show off your voice. Just get to the note and say what you're saying. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I am so sick of this. I am, really, for me, I don't listen. I keep listening to the songs that mean something, because nowadays, if it's not vulgar, it's all synthesized. And I've been complaining about that for years. Don't get me wrong. There's probably some good stuff out there, but it's not at my age. It's not something that I want to listen to. I mean, I'd rather listen to jazz from the 60s and 70s and 80s. I'd rather listen to jazz than to listen to what's out there now. It's all about how quick you can get it done, how you can sample this and put the DJ styler. That's not me. To me, it's like there are DJs out there that say that they are musicians, which is the craziest thing in the world to me.
Right.
I say, what can you play? I'm a DJ. I'm saying, you're not a musician, though. You're a musician. No, you're not a musician. You play records. I can go home and do the same thing that you do with records. But to
push
be
a
able,
button.
Can you create something? Yeah, push a
button.
You clowns. But that's just me.
Ollan,
That's
I
just
hate
me.
to say this, but we have to run. We're keeping a doctor waiting right now, and we can't do that because she has
I'm
patients.
so sorry. I'm so
no,
sorry.
No. I don't want you to feel bad at all. No, but we have to run, and we want to play "Baby Come On," and everybody's like, "Baby Come On." But such a pleasure having you on the show. You and Zakiya are always welcome anytime, and we're going to be doing some special music shows and this year. One is about the blues, and I think what we should do is I've got some other blues ladies, jazz ladies who I think we should have a women's jazz and blues and R&B panel and have them all on together. Because I think that it's absolutely like what you're saying about not being heard as much. And I talk to women in music all the time and ask them, and some don't care, and some are like, no, this sucks. We have to do all these different things. We have to, pretend our manager, which is me, is a man and give him a different face, or something like that. So, that just happens in business. I was talking to a lady that wasn't in music actually, but there are all these things that happen to women in music, and I think we should put more of the spotlight because look at Sister Rosetta Tharpe, for God's sakes, man. Come on.
Hello.
Thank
you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, and thank you for writing your book. Everyone, you've got to go and get it. It's on Amazon. It's called Music Saved My Life, From Darkness into the Light. My life as a 70s R&B soul singer. It's on Amazon, and also go to the website, chrisjames-natural4.com, and we're going to play Baby Come On, one of the hits again from the Natural Four. Thank you so much, Ollan, and please give Zakiya a hug for us and enjoy your dinner.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it, darling. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everything that you need, if you only let me. So if you want it, baby.